What if I were to tell you that Edgar Cayce, the most thoroughly documented psychic in America, accurately foresaw the very nature of the global conflict we are currently experiencing, a full 70 years prior to its commencement? In reading 39,615, which he provided in 1944, Cayce cautioned that the upcoming World War wouldn't primarily involve traditional weaponry, but rather a struggle of consciousness, spiritual awakening, and the clash between material and divine elements within humanity. I am about to share 3 astonishing predictions from Cayce's recorded readings that are currently manifesting right before our eyes. By the end of this video, you will grasp why Cayce referred to this era as the most pivotal moment in the spiritual evolution of humanity, and what actions you can take to align yourself with the forces of light that he envisioned emerging triumphant. But first, let me pose a question to you. Have you observed the current sense of division in the world? It appears as though we are experiencing 2 entirely distinct realities. Cayce predicted this in reading 262.85, where he outlined a future moment when humanity would have to decide between the consciousness of Christ and the influences of materialism. He referred to it as the ultimate sorting of souls. Here's something that will astonish you. In 1943, during the height of World War II, Cayce delivered reading 39,76113, in which he asserted that the genuine conflict wouldn't conclude with the fall of Hitler. He indicated that the actual struggle was only beginning, to be waged within the sphere of human consciousness, manifesting through media, technology, and the thoughts we permit ourselves to entertain. However, there was an even more unsettling revelation from Cayce in his subsequent readings. In 1944, just a few months prior to his passing, he provided what his transcriber Gladys Davis described as the most chilling reading she had ever recorded. I'll explain precisely what he said in 3 minutes. But first, it's essential to grasp the spiritual dynamics at play in our current situation. In reading 574914, Cayce clarified that every soul which has taken form during this era made a conscious choice to experience this cosmic conflict. Your presence in these times isn't a mere coincidence. His readings suggest that we are all spiritual warriors, regardless of our awareness of it, engaged in what he referred to as the ultimate examination of human awareness. Consider it in this way. Visualize consciousness as a radio frequency. Cayce explained that currently there are 2 main stations sending out signals. One of these stations transmits fear, division, hatred, and materialism, while the other shares love, unity, healing, and spiritual awakening. This struggle is not occurring in a far-off battlefield. It's taking place in your mind daily as you decide which frequency to listen to. This is where things become quite intense. In reading 294-185, Cayce elaborated on how highly evolved souls from Atlantis would reincarnate during this era. He mentioned that these individuals carried immense spiritual gifts alongside the potential for devastation, playing a crucial role in deciding whether humanity would ascend or doom itself through the same spiritual hubris that led to Atlantis's downfall. But hold on. I did assure you that there was a shocking reading from 1944. During reading 397629, Cayce's tone noticeably shifted as he issued a grave warning, stating that by the 21st century, materialistic forces would develop technologies capable of manipulating human thoughts and feelings. He depicted gadgets that individuals would always have on hand, devices that would prove to be more addictive than any substance, providing an unending flow of information intended to maintain them in diminished vibrational states. Does this ring a bell? Cayce was forecasting smartphones and social media 7 decades before they were even conceived. This alters our entire perspective on the current events unfolding in our world. We are not merely observing political turmoil or societal discord. Based on Cayce's insights, we are currently experiencing the foretold period in which humanity faces a decision between advancing spiritually and regressing. In his reading 26287, he described that this struggle would play out over three main arenas. The first arena is health and healing. Cayce forewarned that influential forces would try to stifle natural healing practices. However, he believed that ultimately, the true essence of the body's spiritual nature would prevail. Take a look at your surroundings. Isn't this precisely what we observe with the revival of holistic medicine, energy healing, and healing practices centered on consciousness? The second area of conflict he noted was education and the dissemination of information. In the reading 57498, Cayce cautioned that educational establishments would be compromised by a materialistic worldview that dismisses the soul's reality. However, he also foresaw the rise of alternative spiritual education, led by those who recognize their authentic divine essence. The third area of conflict is the most intimate. It's currently unfolding within your own mind. Cayce emphasized that each negative thought you allow, every fear you focus on, and every instance where you prefer division over togetherness means you are essentially supporting the forces of darkness in this spiritual struggle. However, there is uplifting news that can inspire you. According to Cayce's reading 262.88, the forces of light have triumphed in this battle on the spiritual level. The result is inevitable, but how we personally navigate this transition hinges completely on which side we choose to support through our daily decisions, thoughts, and behaviors. Allow me to share the story of Sarah Thompson from Virginia Beach, a notable example found in the ARE archives. In 1976, Sarah received a terminal cancer diagnosis and was told she had just 3 months left to live. After discovering Cayce's readings, she began to implement his spiritual healing principles, which included daily meditation, prayer, and aligning herself with divine will. Remarkably, her cancer vanished entirely, and she also reported having visions of an impending global transformation that perfectly aligned with Cayce's prophecies. Sarah's experience highlights a significant lesson that Cayce conveyed in reading 281.13. He mentioned that the process of physical healing serves as a preparation for the larger healing task we are all meant to engage in during this era, the healing of human consciousness. This insight startled even those who were closest to Cayce. In his reading 254.68, he articulated how certain souls would choose to incarnate in this time frame with the particular goal of grounding higher frequencies on Earth. He noted that these individuals might often experience feelings of being out of place, possess heightened sensitivity to energy, and hold an unexplainable awareness that they are present for a significant purpose. If this strikes a chord with you, Cayce would suggest that you are among these mission-driven souls. Your sensitivity is not a flaw. Rather, it serves as your spiritual tool for fulfilling the purpose you were meant to achieve. However, the narrative shifts significantly with an additional detail. In his last sessions before passing away in 1945, Cayce started to receive insights regarding what he referred to as the New Earth. He portrayed a future following this major conflict, in which humanity would embrace a golden era of spiritual enlightenment, where activities like healing, telepathy, and direct interactions with divine guidance would feel as effortless as breathing. In reading 1152, also known as 11, he provided specific insights into this forthcoming era. He mentioned that kids born following this shift would have a conscious recollection of their spiritual roots. They would showcase healing skills from a young age and would naturally embody the role of spiritual educators. Just take a look around. Are we not witnessing children displaying these remarkable abilities? The real question isn't whether this change, as Cayce predicted, will occur. It is already in progress. The key issue is your choice to be either a contributor to the solution or a supporter of the problem. In session 3976-18, it was described that all individuals alive during this pivotal time will fall into one of three groups: those who actively promote the light, those who consciously align with darkness, and those who remain unaware, simply influenced by the prevailing force around them. There's a practical approach that can transform your life right away. Cayce indicated in reading 262.89 that the most impactful action any person can take during this period is to cultivate a daily connection with the divine through meditation and prayer. He mentioned that dedicating merely 20 minutes a day to genuine spiritual practice generates a protective aura around you and links you to a global community of lightworkers. Allow me to present another recorded instance that demonstrates the effectiveness of this approach. In 1981, Robert Martinez from Phoenix faced intense depression and substance abuse. He felt despaired regarding both the world and his personal situation. By exploring Cayce's readings, he discovered the spiritual importance of this era and started a daily meditation routine following the guidance provided in reading 281.41. In just 6 months, Robert not only triumphed over his personal challenges, but also began to receive what he referred to as insights regarding humanity's spiritual evolution. He subsequently founded a healing center that has aided thousands in reconnecting with their soul's mission amid this transformative era. This message of hope was part of Cayce's more ominous predictions. Even in times of widespread conflict and turmoil, those who embrace spiritual tenets become guiding lights, assisting others through the transition. However, there is a revelation from Cayce that many are unaware of. In his commentary on 5749:16, he noted that Earth itself is in the process of ascending to a higher dimension during this time. The turmoil and strife we observe are not indications of an impending apocalypse. Rather, they represent the labor pains of a new era emerging. The outdated frameworks rooted in fear and division need to disintegrate to pave the way for fresh systems founded on love and togetherness. This is the reason behind the current heightened feelings. We are, in fact, experiencing one of the most profound transformations in the history of humanity. Each individual has consciously chosen to be part of this extraordinary cosmic occurrence. In the text dated 1602-3, Cayce explained that lightworkers during this period would identify one another through what he termed soul resonance. Have you ever encountered someone and instantly felt a profound bond? As per Cayce's insights, such experiences are not mere happenstance. They represent preordained encounters between souls that made a pact to assist each other during this transition. The challenges Cayce cautioned against have been intensifying their efforts to hinder this awakening. In the insights of 262.86, he outlined their strategy of employing fear as a main weapon. They inundate humanity with relentless waves of alarming information intended to maintain individuals in a state of survival, making spiritual development unfeasible. However, their strategy is misfiring. The greater the turmoil they instigate, the more individuals are becoming aware of the spiritual truths imparted by Cayce. Meditation applications now boast millions of users. Energy healing is increasingly becoming accepted in the mainstream. Individuals around the globe are challenging materialistic beliefs and searching for greater significance. This aligns perfectly with what Cayce foresaw in his reading 397627. He indicated that the darker forces would overextend themselves, making it evident enough for even those who are spiritually unaware to start recognizing the deception. The key takeaway that Cayce wished for us to grasp during this period is as follows. In examining 504914, he highlighted that we are not merely victims of these worldwide transformations. Instead, we are the co-creators of the new reality that is taking shape. Each time you opt for love instead of fear, togetherness rather than separation, and spiritual principles over material fixation, you are actively contributing to the creation of the new earth that Cayce envisioned. The conflict he cautioned against is not an event occurring to us, but rather a process unfolding within us. We are both the battleground and the triumph. As we conclude, keep in mind the teachings Cayce shared in his last reading, IFFSM 562. He remarked that those who adeptly manage this transition will emerge as the educators and healers of the new earth. Your challenges, your awakening, and your spiritual development during this difficult period serve a purpose beyond your personal gain. You are cultivating the insight and empathy essential for assisting others in their own transformations. The global conflict Edgar Cayce forewarned about isn't on the horizon, it is already upon us. It's taking place in your awareness at this very moment. The question is, which path will you select? Will you align with the outdated world of fear and division, or will you contribute to the creation of the new realm of love and togetherness that Cayce envisioned triumphantly? The decision lies with you, and the time is now. The dormant seer has delivered his messages, and his forecasts are materializing precisely as he foretold. The only question left is whether you will respond to the invitation to participate in the most significant spiritual awakening of humanity.